On Thursday afternoon, Lindsay Halligan, the U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, brought an indictment against Letitia James, who is the Democratic New York Attorney General. The charge is that James lied on a loan application for a home that she bought in Norfolk, Virginia in 2023. James filled out that it would be her primary residence, and it is not her primary residence. She's the Attorney General in New York. She lives in New York. James and her attorneys have said this was an accident, a mistake, that she was buying this home for her niece. She never meant to live there, and it wasn't. She didn't say it was going to be her primary residence to try to get some sort of special or better mortgage rate. So that's the core of this. This is, however, when it lands in the context of what we've seen over the last 3.5 weeks with the Department of Justice and this Eastern District of Virginia, a very big deal, because Letitia James is the second person, adding to Jim Comey, who was indicted 2 weeks ago in the Eastern District of Virginia by Lindsay Halligan. We now have two of Donald Trump's named and known political enemies indicted at effectively his behest. So let's go through the whole thing here, because it's pretty remarkable stuff. And I do want to say this at the top. Look, I am not a guy who runs around with my hair on fire about Donald Trump. I don't say the sky is falling every single day. I don't panic every day. I don't call him a dictator. We need to be able to distinguish in this world between mountains and molehills. Not everything is a big deal. This is a big deal. This is the politicization by the President of the United States of the Department of Justice, an agency that has long been valued by presidents, Democratic and Republican, for its independence. This is a mountain. Jim Comey and now Letitia James. Mountain, not molehill. Before I go on and explain the context here, I just want to make a quick pitch to you. I hope you become a subscriber to my channel. 2 words: I'm independent and I'm authentic. Independent from corporate media, independent from the two political parties. I'm authentic, always going to shoot straight with you, always going to give you my honest analysis. Now more than ever, with the rise in partisan journalism on both sides, I think it matters. And I hope you do too. I hope you subscribe. Okay, so let's go back on the Eastern District of Virginia. Several weeks ago, Donald Trump publicly said he was unhappy with the current U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, a guy named Eric Siebert, because Siebert was not bringing cases against Trump's political enemies, notably Letitia James, Jim Comey, and California Senator Adam Schiff, fast enough or at all for Trump's liking. He then, on September the 20th, put out on True Social, his social media site that he owns, he put out a message that was directly addressed to Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States. It literally said Pam, and it said, we need to get someone into this Eastern District of Virginia job who's going to prosecute Comey, James, and Schiff and others, because they are, in Trump's words, guilty as hell. Now, I always wondered about that message because it seemed a very odd thing to put in public, especially with Pam, like directly addressed to the Attorney General there. And we learned this week by the Wall Street Journal reporting that Trump did not mean for that to be public. He thought he was sending Pam Bondi a private message. Bondi, when she saw that it went public, she and her office freaked out. They got in touch with the White House. And then Trump, minutes later, put out another True Social post saying how great Pam Bondi was doing in her job. Now we know the backstory there. Okay, so Donald Trump means to send the Attorney General a private message saying, you need to put someone in this job, in this Eastern District of Virginia job, who's going to indict these people who are my political enemies. Okay? Days later, Eric Siebert, the U.S. Attorney, is out. Lindsay Halligan is the new Eastern District U.S. Attorney. Lindsay Halligan, who has never tried a case before and whose main credential is that she was part of Donald Trump's defense team. Okay, so Lindsay Halligan is in. Jim Comey gets indicted for allegedly lying to Congress about the leak of information during the 2016 election. Jim Comey gets indicted at the end of September. He was indicted 5 days after Lindsay Halligan got that job. And again, she got the job to indict Donald Trump's political enemies. All right. Now, less than 2 weeks on the job, Halligan has indicted Donald Trump's second stated political enemy, Letitia James, over this mortgage loan application that they are saying she purposely deceived the loan officer by saying it was going to be her primary residence. So September 20th, Donald Trump says publicly says he means it privately, but it's public. We need to put someone in this job that's going to charge Comey, James, and Adam Schiff. 3 weeks later, a new person in that job whose only real credential is that she worked as a lawyer for Donald Trump. She's in that job. Jim Comey is indicted. Letitia James is indicted. If I'm Adam Schiff, I'm sort of waiting to be indicted. Now, people will say, Chris, Letitia James is no innocent in all this, to which I don't disagree. I will note. So Letitia James ran for Attorney General of New York in 2018, expressly on the idea that she could be a check on Donald Trump, that Donald Trump's businesses had long been based in New York. He was a New York resident for most of his life, and that she could bring him to account. Okay, that was part of her messaging in 2018. She starts an investigation into Trump shortly after she gets into office. Shortly after she gets in office. In 2022, that investigation leads to the accusation that Trump fraudulently inflated the value of his assets, his business assets, to secure better terms on loans from banks. She eventually wins a civil settlement in that case for $500 million, but that is tossed out by a New York State court just this past August. They said it was an excessive fine. So these two have history. I'm not trying to suggest Letitia James is any saint here, but it seems very, very, very clear to me that Donald Trump is using the Department of Justice as his personal plaything. He is telling them, I want this person indicted and that person indicted and that person indicted. I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. During the Biden administration, were there people who worked in the Department of Justice who didn't like Donald Trump and wanted to sabotage his chances of winning in 2024? Sure, absolutely. Were they taking direction on that from Joe Biden, the president of the United States, or Merrick Garland, the attorney general? No. And I've seen no proof of it and no suggestion of it. This is different in kind. So what's next? Like I said, if you're Adam Schiff, you are the third name on that meant to be private but public Truth Social post Donald Trump sent to Pam Bondi about people he wants to see indicted. Comey already indicted. Letitia James now indicted. I would assume they will try to indict Adam Schiff on something. I'm not sure what. The Wall Street Journal reported this week that John Bolton, former national security advisor to Donald Trump in his first term, turned Trump critic, could be charged in Maryland at some point in the very near future. There are also investigations ongoing into John Brennan, the former head of the CIA, and Chris Wray, the former head of the FBI. I will note that Chris Wray is a Donald Trump appointee, or was a Donald Trump appointee. My point here is this is outright political targeting of your opponents using the official structures of the government. The Department of Justice had long prided itself on its independence. That yes, it was part of an administration, and yes, the attorney general was someone that the president picked, but that largely presidents left the department alone because justice is blind, right? That you can't put your thumb on the scale. Do MAGA types and Republicans think that's not true? Sure. And I, again, as I've said before, I think there is some evidence that some of these lifetime people in the DOJ did not like Donald Trump and wanted to try to stop him from being president. The difference is Joe Biden wasn't expressly saying that person and Donald Trump, and let's bring this case and let's bring that case, right? We know Donald Trump has done that because he accidentally sent a message that was meant to be private to his attorney general in public. And that to me matters. And that's why I think it's a mountain, not a molehill, and why we all, Republican, Democrat, anything, should be paying attention to this and should be worried about it. Because I do not think that Donald Trump's targeting of his political enemies legally is going to stop with Jim Comey and Letitia James. As I said before, I hope you can become a subscriber, independent and authentic. That's me. Those are my North Stars. I also hope you like and comment on this video. Helps me grow my community on YouTube, particularly among people who are not already subscribers. Last thing, be an evangelist for me. Tell a couple people about what I'm doing here and why you think it matters heading into the 2026 election. Okay, everyone, take care.